There is a manipulator living inside your own head, and it has never lost a single argument against you. It doesn't threaten you.
It doesn't yell. It doesn't need to. It studies you.
It knows your exact weaknesses, your exact fears, the precise moment your willpower runs thin. It has access to every insecurity you've ever hidden from the world, every excuse that has ever worked on you before. And it uses all of it every single day with the calm precision of someone who has manipulated you 1,000 times and knows exactly which button to press next. You'd never let a stranger talk to you the way this voice does. If someone else told you that you weren't capable, that today wasn't the right day, that you should just stay comfortable and try again someday, you'd recognize it instantly as manipulation. You'd get defensive, you'd push back, but when the voice comes from inside your own skull, dressed up as your own thoughts, you don't fight it, you believe it. That's the oldest trick in the book. The most dangerous manipulation isn't the one that comes from outside you. It's the one that convinces you it is you. Somewhere right now, a person is standing at the edge of a decision that could change their entire life. And a quiet, familiar voice is already working on them. Not with threats, with comfort, with logic that sounds reasonable. You've earned a break. This isn't the right time. You can always start tomorrow. It sounds like kindness. It sounds like self-care. But listen closely, because this is exactly how every skilled manipulator operates. They never announce themselves as the enemy. They disguise control as concern. And the most effective manipulator you will ever encounter in your life isn't a con artist, a toxic partner, or a manipulative boss. It's the version of you that benefits from you staying exactly the same. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This inner voice doesn't want you dead. It doesn't want you to fail completely. That would be too obvious, too easy to notice. What it wants is much subtler and far more effective. It wants you comfortable, stagnant, safe. Because a version of you that never grows, never risks, never changes, is a version it can predict and control forever. Growth is dangerous to it. Change is a threat to its power, so it will keep you circling the same 5 excuses for years, convincing you each time that this round is different, when really, it's the same manipulation wearing a new outfit. Think about the last promise you broke to yourself. Really think about it. In that exact moment, you weren't simply unmotivated. You were being worked on. Something inside you built a case, brick by brick, convincing you that quitting was the smart choice, the safe choice, maybe even the mature choice. And it was good. It was so good you didn't even notice you were being persuaded. You thought it was just you, thinking normally. That's the mark of elite manipulation. You never feel manipulated. You feel like you agreed on your own. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how this internal manipulator operates, the specific psychological tactics it uses against you every single day, and, more importantly, how the most dangerous, disciplined, unstoppable people you've ever admired learn to spot its tricks in real time and turn its own weapons against it. Because once you can name a manipulation, it starts losing its power. Stay with me. What you're about to hear will change the way you listen to your own mind forever. Let's expose the first tactic, because it's the one used against you most often, and it's brutally effective. Psychologists call it discounting the future. Your inner manipulator knows that a reward tomorrow feels less real than comfort right now, so it constantly trades your future for your present. It whispers that the pain of discipline today isn't worth some distant, uncertain benefit. It makes someday sound reasonable, when really someday is just a polite word for never. This is the exact same tactic used by every con artist who's ever sold a fake promise. Make the cost feel small now and let the victim discover the real price much later when it's too late to undo the damage. Notice how it never asks you to give up on your dream completely. That would trigger resistance. Instead, it asks for one small exception. Skip the gym today, just today. Eat the junk food today, just today. Delay the hard conversation today, just today. One exception feels harmless. But a manipulator never needs your total surrender in one moment. They only need your permission to slowly rewrite your standards, one small exception at a time, until the exception becomes the rule, and the rule becomes your identity. Here's the second tactic, and this one is even more insidious because it disguises itself as self-love. It's called comfort framing. Your mind will take the exact same act of self-sabotage and repackage it as self-care. Skipping the workout becomes listening to your body. Avoiding the hard conversation becomes protecting your peace. Quitting on the goal becomes knowing your worth. Real self-care and manipulated self-sabotage can look identical from the outside. The only way to tell them apart is to ask one brutal question. Is this choice moving me toward the life I actually want? Or is it just the easiest way to avoid discomfort right now? Manipulators, including the one inside your own head, always prefer that you never ask that question. Ambiguity is their favorite hiding place. Now here's the third tactic, the one that keeps people trapped for years without them ever realizing it. It's called the identity lock. Once your inner manipulator successfully gets you to quit a few times, it doesn't stop there. It upgrades the attack. It starts whispering not just "don't do it today," but "you're not the kind of person who does this." That sentence is devastating because it's no longer about one decision. It's an attack on who you believe you are. And once someone, even yourself, convinces you that failure is your identity rather than just an event, you stop even trying to fight back because you believe the outcome is already decided. This is precisely how cult leaders, abusive partners, and master manipulators control people for years. Not through one big lie, but through slowly convincing someone that the lie is simply who they are. Sit with that for a second because it might explain more of your life than you're ready to admit. How many times have you said, "I'm just lazy, I always quit, I'm not disciplined like other people," and treated those sentences as facts when really they were just the final stage of a manipulation that started with one small, harmless-looking exception years ago? But here is where the story turns, because understanding manipulation is the first step to becoming immune to it. The moment you can name a tactic, you take away its disguise,
And a manipulator without a disguise loses almost all of its power.
this is the actual secret behind the most disciplined people you've ever watched in awe. The athlete who trains through exhaustion, the founder who rebuilds after bankruptcy, the person who walks out of an abusive relationship and refuses to go back. They still hear the exact same manipulative voice everyone else hears. The difference is, they've learned to recognize its tactics in real time, the way a trained detective spots a liar mid-sentence. Imagine standing in a room with a manipulator you know extremely well. Someone who has lied to you before, who has talked you out of good decisions in the past, who benefits every time you play small. Now imagine that same manipulator speaking to you again, except this time you recognize their voice instantly. You know their favorite lines. You know their favorite tricks. Suddenly their words don't hit the same way anymore because you're no longer an easy target. You're someone who sees through the act. That's exactly the relationship you need to build with your own resistance, not war, recognition. You don't need to silence the manipulator inside you. You need to become someone it can no longer fool. Here's a psychological trigger worth understanding deeply, because
It's the exact opposite of manipulation, and it's the antidote.
it's called the identity vote. Every single choice you make isn't just an isolated action. It's a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Skip the hard thing.
And you don't just lose. One day you cast a vote for, I am someone who quits when it's inconvenient, show up anyway.
Especially when the manipulator inside you is working overtime to talk you out of it. and you cast a vote for, I am someone who follows through, even in resistance. Most people don't lose because their goals are too big. They lose because they've unknowingly cast thousands of tiny votes for the wrong identity, one quiet surrender at a time, until the manipulator's version of them became the majority. This is why small discipline matters so disproportionately more than people think. It was never really about one workout, one page of the book, one uncomfortable phone call.
Each of those moments is a tiny battlefield where two competing identities fight for control of your future.
And whichever one wins today gets a little bit stronger for tomorrow's fight. That's not motivation talk. That's how influence, persuasion,
and identity actually work, whether the manipulator is external or sitting quietly inside your own thoughts.
So the next time that familiar voice shows up, dressed in comfort, disguised as logic, sounding suspiciously reasonable, don't panic and don't argue with it out loud in your head, because manipulators love a debate. It gives them airtime. Instead, just name it. Say it plainly, even silently. This is discounting the future. This is comfort framing.
This is the identity lock trying to convince me who I am.
The instant you name the tactic, you take the mask off, and something that's been controlling you in the dark suddenly has to operate in the light, and manipulation cannot survive in the light. You don't need to win this war permanently today. Nobody does. Even the most disciplined, most respected people you know still hear that voice tomorrow morning, dressed in a slightly different disguise, testing a slightly different angle.
The goal was never to make the manipulator disappear forever.
The goal is to recognize it faster each time, so it controls you for less and less of your life, until one day the person running your decisions is finally actually you. Right now, somewhere inside you, that voice is already preparing its next move, the next small exception, the next comforting excuse, the next attack on your identity disguised as self-care. It's already choosing its words. The only question that matters is whether you'll recognize it this time, or whether you'll let it talk you into casting one more silent vote against the person you're capable of becoming. If this uncovered something you've never quite been able to put into words before, if you just recognized a manipulation you've been falling for without even realizing it, don't scroll past this moment. Hit like, because someone else out there is being manipulated by their own mind tonight and has no idea it's even happening. Subscribe, because this channel exists to keep pulling back the curtain on the psychological games we play against ourselves. And comment right now with the exact excuse your inner manipulator uses on you the most. Naming it here out loud in front of others is the first real step to taking its power away.
You against you. The most dangerous manipulator you'll ever face lives behind your own eyes.
Recognize it today, and you win the only round that has ever really mattered.